This is the Bliss Audio Spectre. It is a digitally controlled all analog signal path through zero flanger, something that basically didn't exist before. There's through zero flangers, but they're digital, and there's analog flangers. He's combined, Joel being he, the man behind Bliss Audio, the lush and beautiful, warm sounds of analog, and then combine them with the unprecedented level of control that you get from digital. This thing's going to take a while to get through, so let's just get into it. The Spectre maintains an all-analog signal path. Your signal is never converted to digital, but your controls are maintained digitally, and this allows for an unprecedented level of control. For our purposes, these controls here are the sound, and these controls are the shape. So sound and shape. This whole section you'll see is actually called the module shape engine, but just to clarify. The mix knob just goes from dry to wet, except if you're familiar with any of Joel's earlier pedals, like when he worked for ZVEX, the Instant Lo-Fi Junkie, a lot of times the bass sound that he starts with is already pretty amazing. This has a warm tube-like compression. Now, it's not as drastic as, say, what the compression on the Instant Lo-Fi Junkie was like, but it's a very nice place to start, and I thought that was a good example. Now, for the majority of this demo, I'm going to leave this set to maximum just so we can really hear everything that's happening. I'm sure I'll tweak it a little, but this is also a ramp control via the dip switches, which are on this side. You can assign this to any of these other controls, and ramp is just how fast the effect rises and falls. Okay, so zero. Okay, think of a flanger as two tape record decks, a lead and a follow deck, and the effect is a very minuscule difference in the time that they're running at, so a slight delay. This sets how far apart they are, and it's never actually a delay, but it might help to understand what you're hearing. So over here, counterclockwise is as far apart as you're going to get, and around between 1 and 3, and it changes a little bit from pedal to pedal, is the 0 point, or when the follow deck starts to catch up and pass the lead deck. This creates a little cutout and signal like you were just hearing every now and then. All the way over here are your through zero sounds. So let's listen to this for a second. Regen. On this side over here is where we get our airplanes, spaceships, aliens, deep sea creatures, and on this side over here is where we get our choral tones. So you'll notice there we got it to self-oscillate a little. The rate is how fast the flange effects take place. This is tap divisions 1, 2, 4, 3, 6, 8. Okay, the modular shape engine. Width controls how wide the flange can go. Over this direction we get our crazy good times. Over this way we get, you know, a really wide, slower moving kind of thing. So let's listen to it. The shift knob controls the point of the modulation. So over here we get a ramp up quickly and a ramp down slowly, and over here we get up slowly, down quickly. So let's listen to it. Hopefully you guys enjoy me making random noises as much as I do. Okay, so these two effects right here, they control the actual shape of the modulation. It goes sine, triangle, square, and sine, triangle, square. This is the first half of the wave, and this is the second half of the wave. A lot of good times to be had there.
So, module shape, width, shift, and then wave toggles. First half of the wave, second half of the wave. That's the shape of the wave. The sound and color of the actual thing is provided by our tap, our rate, our mix, our zero, and our regen. So that's the basic controls. The tap always honors the last two stomps. We have a preset, so okay, so the preset, you have three flangers right on tap. When this thing's in the middle, it honors the knobs. When it's to position 1 or position 2, you've got 2 presets that you program in by holding these down for like 2 seconds till it blinks. You can read the manual, it's simple. And what I was saying about this always honoring the last 2 stomps, you don't have to worry about accidentally hitting these together or something. It's not going to reset everything. We've also got an expression CV in, and without anything else plugged in, it's going to control the flange rate. So I didn't think about this ahead of time. Let's see if we can do this real quick and have it sound good. So, just like the ramp knob via the dip switches, you can assign your expression pedal to control any of these effects. Aspects of the pedal. That's a better way to say it. Now let's take a look at the dip switches real quick. Let's take a look at the dip switches real quickly. We're not going to get super into these because largely I think you should ignore them until you're comfortable with the rest of the pedal. And what they do is mostly decide what the mix ramp knob controls, what the expression knob controls, and you can set it to control the zero or the regen, the width and shift controls. You can control the modulation or the rise and fall. It's not, I mean, all of this comes sounding pretty great, and so get into this later after you start to really understand how everything works together. But there's a couple neat ones here that are worth checking out. The polarity switch, its natural position, we just switched it to on, but in the off, the pedal is set to a negative polarity sweep, and that's more thin and intense. This should be rounder and more musical. So let's listen to it. I'm pretty impressed with myself that I was able to dial these in upside down. That should just show you it's pretty easy to come up with something that sounds good. Momentary bypass dip switch is really neat. If you've seen me talk about other pedals with this, I really dig momentary bypass on these type of effects. So let's see if I can set it to something super dramatic. And okay, this should be intense. So we're going to run our loop, it's going to be off, and then we're going to touch the bypass switch and it's going to come on. Alright, that's the Bliss Audio Spectre. It's a flanger for people who love
flangers. All Chase Bliss audio effects are pedals for people who really love the minutia of pedals. If you want to be able to draw out every tiny detail, to be able to sculpt your sound completely, Chase Bliss audio pedals are for you. And the Spectre is no exception. Now you can turn it on, it'll sound great, but there's just, man, I have several of these pedals, and when I plug them up I find new stuff all the time. So anyway, I am running an expression pedal in front of it right now with none of the dip switches selected, so we're going to be controlling the flange, and I'm running the haunt in front of that, and it just should sound like nasty good times. I've got 12 mugs still left for sale. You should probably buy those. Like, follow, comment. We're a team. Let's do this together.